My top 10 most played Switch games of all time. With the Switch 2 coming out in probably a few months, I don't even know, I'm probably not going to be playing on my Switch, my regular Switch, much anymore. I'll still play Switch games, but they're going to be on the Switch 2. I mean, come on, like, it's the new console, it's the new hardware. So this is probably going to be like my top 10 most played Switch games on my original Switch for like the rest of time. So without further ado, let's get into it with number 10. Number 10 on this list is Pokemon Let's Go Eevee, which surprises me a little bit, but I want to say it's on here because I think I've beaten this game twice. I'm not positive about that, and you know how Pokemon games can take a damn long time to beat. They're an RPG after all. There isn't a ton to say about this game. It's kind of a game that just happened. It's very simple. It's kind of like they were going for baby's first Pokemon game, really, with this one. But, I bought it back in the day. I bought the bundle that came with the little Pokemon ball controller, which is pretty cool. I've since lost it, fortunately. Definitely wouldn't want to have something that sick. That would be that'd be too cool, really. It's such a simple game. It's such a simple concept. Obviously, they were trying to, connect with Pokemon Go on the phones by making it, a weird mishmash combination of, a traditional Pokemon RPG combined with the mechanics of Pokemon Go. I think the goal was to get the casuals who played Pokemon Go to then buy a Switch, get Let's Go, and then play it, and it'd be like their first Pokemon game. But I'm like, who the hell is doing that, man? I mean, my mom plays Pokemon Go still to this day. She's played it since it came out back in 2016. She never stopped playing it. But there is not a world, there's not a dimension within the infinite multiverse where my mother would buy a Switch and play Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu or Let's Go Eevee. No world. Okay, moving on to number 9 on here, and this one is one that I feel has more earned its spot than Let's Go Eevee, and that is Stardew Valley. I mean, what needs to be said about Stardew Valley? You watching this video right now, you have played Stardew Valley. I'm sure of it. It's a fantastic game, one of the greatest games of all time, and I've heard that they've added more content. It's been years, honestly, since I've played it, so I should probably go back at some point and play it again. I never really, beat the game. I've obviously sunk dozens of hours into this game for it to be this high on my Switch most played games. Dozens and dozens of hours. Unfortunately, the Switch doesn't show you the exact amount, so I can't confirm the exact amount, but yeah, I mean, man, what a fantastic game, and I'll just always be in shock and awe that this game was developed by one guy. I mean, that is just incredible. How do people even do this? A game this sprawling, this complex, this convoluted, this many layers to it. All the art, I mean, God, it's one guy. I mean, it's fantastic. And again, there's really, it's a game that needs no introduction, Stardew Valley, because everybody's played it. Everybody knows it's one of the greatest games that has ever been made. Possibly the greatest indie game of all time, I don't know, but a fantastic game either way. Moving on to number 8 on my list, we have Dragon Quest XI, Echoes of an Elusive Age. And man, you're gonna see a lot of RPGs on this list, because I'm a big RPG guy, and this is easily the best RPG I have ever played. From the monster design, the world design, I love the dialogue, I love the story, I love the battle system in Dragon Quest games. It's so simple, but it's satisfying, man. I still remember that when I got to the giant tentacle squid guy, I'm like, okay, I'm screwed. I just kept getting defeated over and over and over. That was the first time I hit a serious challenge. I remember in Donkey's video on Dragon Quest XI, he said something like, and then I got to the squid, and this is where I realized I'd been playing the game wrong the entire time. And that's kind of the way that I felt too. I was like, oh my God, I'm severely underleveled. So I grinded a little bit, but then I was like, okay, I'm just gonna battle him again. And I fought him, and I was like, wait a minute, I've got some ideas on stuff that I could do. And so I went back in, I changed up my party, I went with different people at the beginning. I kind of upgraded certain things, whatever. And I went back in, I lost again, but I did way better, and it gave me so many ideas about what I could do for the next one. And usually I just get extremely frustrated when I lose in a battle in an RPG, and I did get frustrated, don't get me wrong, but I collected myself, I had ideas, I implemented them, and without having to grind, I actually beat the damn thing. I mean, you just gotta appreciate an RPG where you can step away, you can re-strategize, and you can just go back in and win. As much as I love Pokemon, that doesn't really happen with Pokemon. Yes, you can re-strategize. Yes, you can go back in and maybe win, but a lot of the times with Pokemon, re-strategizing is only going to get you so far, and you do have to grind, and you do have to get to that higher level, and you do have to waste hours of your life doing that, right? I love it. I love Pokemon, but there's something so satisfying about the progression system in Dragon Quest XI. I really cannot suggest this game enough. It probably took me like 80 hours to beat it, and I feel like I didn't get enough out of the experience, like as much as I should have. So I would love to one day go back and like replay through the game, but like take it way slower. Like just give myself like a year to beat the game. You know what I mean? Just slow it down. Do side quests. Think about things. You know what I mean? Explore more. I got to do that at some point. Like honestly, I didn't even beat Kalasmos. It's one of my favorite games of all time, and I didn't even beat like the second villain after you beat the game. Ridiculous. Okay, moving on to number 7 on the list. This one deserves its spot, and it's Mario Kart 8. I've put so many hours into Mario Kart 8, and most of them are just playing with my friends, playing with my family. Recently, I've been kind of grinding it out a little bit, trying to complete all of the cups ahead of Mario Kart 9, ostensibly is what I'm assuming it's going to be called, coming out probably with the launch of the Switch 2. And man, it's just like, there's a reason that Nintendo has taken so long to upgrade and release a new Mario Kart. It's hard to top this one, man. It feels so good to play. There's so many characters. There's so many maps. There's such a broken online system. I swear I've only ever tried to do the online once, and I got like halfway through, and then a freaking server error occurred, and I got kicked out. So I was like, okay, yep, last time I do this, huh? It's a fantastic game. I really don't have anything else to say. Everybody here has played Mario Kart. Again, this is just like Stardew. You've all played Mario Kart. What more must I say? Fantastic game. One of the best Switch games of all time, even though it started as a Wii U game. I would say that the Switch has ownership of it. Number 6 on my list. We're back to Pokemon. That's going to be a running theme here. We've got Pokemon Sword, which, man, the weakest of the mainline RPGs on the Switch. I know we only got, well, 3, I guess, with Arceus, right? But it didn't grab me, man. In fact, I actually skipped this one for the longest time. I kept seeing people I was a big Reddit user back in the days, right? And everybody was like, oh, screw this. They're getting rid of the national dex, blah, 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 whatever, all these different things. And everybody was like, oh, I'm going to, not buy this one. And then, of course, everybody bought this one, except for me. I stuck to my guns saying I'm not going to buy it. But eventually I did. Eventually I broke, and I was like, man, I miss Pokemon. And Sword, it's fine. It's fine. It's passable. It's kind of fun. I'm so sick of the 3D. I don't know, man. I have so little to say about Sword just because it's such a nothing game. It's just such a nothing game to me. Like, if I think about it, Sword and Shield is probably my least favorite generation of Pokemon. Like, a lot of people might say Gen 4 is their least favorite, but I grew up on Gen 4. Gen 3 was my first, but then Gen 4 was where I kind of like really got into the swing of things with Pokemon, where I knew what I was doing. And I don't know, something about the Sword and Shield generation just did not grab me, man. It's lame. It's probably the most skippable generation, and especially completing the Pokedex too. What an absolute travesty. What a nightmare to complete the Pokedex. I had to mess with my time settings on my Switch like nobody's freaking business, dude, and I have absolutely no interest in ever having to do something like that again. It was painful, it was annoying, it was unfun. Not really a fan of this generation, but, overall, it is Pokemon, so I enjoyed my time with it, just not as much as I should have, considering, it's Pokemon. Moving on to number 5 on the list, and I want to say this one maybe shouldn't be on this list. I think back when I first got my Switch, I would forget to like close out of games. I would like, I'd be playing a game and then, dinner's ready and I walk away and I forget to close out of it. So I would just leave games on for hours and hours and hours. So I'm not sure if I've actually played this game enough, but it is Super Smash Brothers Ultimate. And, I love Smash Brothers. Smash Brothers is a game that is near and dear to my heart. I used to play Melee back on the GameCube when I was a kid. We never had the original one for the N64, unfortunately. But I had Melee, and it was one of those games that was just special, And I knew it was special. I would play it constantly. And I would do the little campaign. And then, of course, when Brawl came out for the Wii, oh my god, forget about it, dude. All the time I was playing that game, man. And, I love this game too. Ultimate, I definitely went through and I did like the whole campaign here. The Subspace Emissary, is that from the Wii? I don't know. I did the whole thing on here. It's fun, it's great. There's so many on this list where it's like, what do you want me to say? You guys have all played this game, you know it's fun. What more input can I add to this, right? And honestly, I'm terrible at Smash is the main problem here. I am absolute dog shit garbage at it. Horrible. So I don't play it that much because every time I do, I get my ass kicked and it makes me violently angry. Like, I can't even play this game with my brother. And we used to play all the time, me and my brother, when we were kids. All the time! He was always better than me. But now he's so much better than me at it that it's like I get negative enjoyment from it. It just actively makes me angry. All right, we're at number 4, baby. Number 4. And this is Animal Crossing New Horizons. Man, what a romp this game was. The most freeing Animal Crossing, the most things you could do, the most control you had over your island. Man, I dig this game. But I have so little interest in going back to it, man. I miss Animal Crossing, let me say. I would love to go back to Animal Crossing, but like, not this one, dude. I need a new one. I need a new one to go back to. I just cannot reopen this. This is a can of worms that is sealed shut, and I ain't opening it again. Even though I know they've added new stuff, I know there's more things to do. I just can't do it, man. It was just so fun back in the day during the pandy when this game came out. It got super popular, and everybody was like grinding for the tickets that you could use to go and find new guys on different islands. And my goal was to get all of like the eagle guys, all the hawks, So that was super fun. I really enjoyed doing that, and of course, it's Animal Crossing. You love the fishing, you love the catching the bugs, you love the decorating, It's just such a great game. It's another one of those games that's near and dear to my heart because I had the original Animal Crossing back on the GameCube. And again, it was one of those games that as I was playing it, I knew it was something special. And so did Nintendo because they can't stop making Animal Crossing games. Fantastic game, deserves its spot in my top 10 most played games on the Switch. Moving on to number 3, numeros tres, if you will, is Pokemon Scarlet. And this is a divisive game, dude. This is a divisive game, and for good reason. There are just an abundance of issues with this game, and there's no need to really go into it and rehash the issues, because we all know, we remember the frame rate was terrible, the gameplay was broken in a lot of ways. But then at the same time, this is the most fun I've had playing a Pokemon game in generations. Generations have come and gone, of human beings have come and gone, and I'm finally enjoying Pokemon again. And man, it's just like, there's so much to do in this game. There's such a wide world, and especially the DLC added another big, lump of Pokemon, a big little world to explore, 2 little worlds to explore, really, with the second part of the DLC, post Kitakami, the Blueberry Academy, whatever. That was so fun, dude. Oh my god, what good DLC that was. That actually got me back into the game playing it, like a year after I had last played it, which it's hard to get me to reopen a game a year after I stopped playing it. It's really tough, but this game did it, and man, well deserved in the top 3 spot. I really hope that they take the lessons from this game, they iterate on them, and they give us a truly mind-blowing, 10th generation? Was this the 9th? 8th? Whatever the next generation is. I hope that they make it absolutely mind-numbingly amazing. Number 2 on the list, baby, and this is a situation similar to the Smash Bros. Where it's possible this is up higher than it should be, but this one I don't think is. I think I have actually played this game the second most on my console because it was one of the few games that I had for this console for a while. Because it was one of the few games that was actually out on the console at the time. And of course, it's The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. I mean, what a fantastic game. Oops. The open world exploration, you know, it was unlike anything I'd ever seen before. And man, before this, I wasn't a Zelda fan, dude. I really wasn't. I had the Wind Waker on the GameCube, and I liked that game, but I didn't love that game. And I never really played any of the 2D top-down games. You know, I had Zelda games, but I just, like, I didn't care about Zelda, man. I just didn't care at all. I wish I did, because the people that grew up playing Legend of Zelda games, I feel like they're interesting people. I feel like they have good tastes, good opinions. This might be dumb as fuck, but I feel like whenever I encounter somebody who was like, oh yeah, man, like I grew up on like all these legends, blah, 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 you know, I'm like, these people are kind of well-rounded, they're smart, they have good tastes in media, and I don't know, man. I just kind of wish that I liked these games. I feel like if I had something for the N64, like Majora's Mask, or, you know, the other one, which I'm forgetting, oh god. If I had those as a kid, I think I'd be singing a different tune, but unfortunately, I didn't. Ocarina of Time, that's the other one. If I had Ocarina of Time, I think I would love Legend of Zelda now, but I just never had it, just didn't have it for some reason. Breath of the Wild was one of those games where I was like, oh, I get it, okay. I didn't get Legend of Zelda before, but I get it now. This shit rocks, dude. This shit's busted. It's just one of those once-in-a-lifetime games where it's gonna be hard for future generations to go back and play this game and like see it as something special, because the just sheer number of games that have come out since then that are clearly heavily inspired by this game is insane, to the point where a lot of the new stuff that was introduced by Breath of the Wild is not new anymore. It's not stuff that feels fresh. It's stuff that has been done countless times since this game came out, which is kind of good, but like also unfortunate. I can't see somebody in like a kid that, you know, is born now in like 15 years going back and trying to play this game and being like, oh yeah, this game rocks. I think they'd be like, yeah, this just, I mean, you know, I know everything is derived from this, but this can't help but feel derivative, you know? When taken into comparison to the stuff that I am used to playing. And it's just like, I don't know, recently I played through and beat Horizon Zero Dawn for the first time on the PS5, and it is just unbelievably clear how heavily inspired the developers for that game were by Breath of the Wild. I mean, it's almost like Sony's answer to Breath of the Wild. There's literally like towers that you have to climb, and when you climb the towers, it unlocks sections of the map. There's like crafting, there's stuff all over the world. It just feels like Breath of the Wild, but, you know, imagined by Sony developers. And, you know, it's such an incredible game. What's crazy too is that I've never beaten it. I've gotten all the way up to the end where I've completed all of the 4 guys. I've gotten into the castle, but I got too scared. I got too scared to face Ganon, so I never fucking fought Ganon. Maybe one day I'll go back and actually defeat Ganon, but I would have to restart the game from the beginning because that's just how my brain works. And moving on to the number 1 spot, my most played Switch game of all time, the most deserving of this spot, in my humble opinion. I think people are gonna disagree with me, but I think that my opinion is great here. And my number 1 most played, you've probably guessed it, my number 1 most played game of all time on my Switch is Super Mario Odyssey. Yes, dude. Best 3D Mario of all time, get out of here. I don't care that some of the moons aren't good. Yeah, a bunch of the moons suck. I don't care. I had just an absolute blast going through this game, dude. I've been just the biggest 3D Mario fan my entire life. Back when I was a kid, my favorite game was Super Mario 64 for the Nintendo 64. And then after that, I was also a massive fan of Super Mario Sunshine for the GameCube. And then after that, Super Mario Galaxy for the Wii, and I didn't really play Galaxy 2. That one's embarrassing. I was just the biggest fan, and I feel like we hadn't had a game really like this, like a real 3D Mario game, since Galaxy 2 for the Wii. I know we had 3D Land for the 3DS. I know we had 3D World for the Wii U, right? I know that these games came out, but they never felt like true 3D Mario games to me. To me, they felt like some weird mishmash kind of crossover combination between the 2D games and the 3D games, and they never quite did it for me. But this was a return to form. This was the feeling I had when I played Mario 64 when I was a kid. This is freedom. Freedom of movement, freedom of exploration, of adventure, whatever you want to do. You could do any moon you wanted to do, you just had to get a certain amount to move on to the next area. It didn't matter which ones you did, just so long as you did some of them. The unbelievable amount of stuff you can do with Cappy is insane. I still remember back when I played through this game, I played through and I beat like the entire game and I was like, yeah, that was fun, what a good game. And then I went online, I went onto Reddit and I saw somebody post it. It popped up on my feed from Super Mario Odyssey. I saw someone post a video of them inside of that pyramid, the ice area where you fight like the giant golem head guy. Right before you do that boss fight, you can get up onto these pillars that are off to the side that, you have to cross a little void to get to them. And you don't really think about like, oh, maybe I'll go up to these pillars. You don't really think about it. But if you go up there, you can make a jump from there and get onto the roof of the area that feels inaccessible. You have to do these crazy jumps where you jump across and you use Cappy as a cap jump, which I didn't even know. I beat the entire game. I didn't even know you could jump on Cappy. But you can get to this top of the roof that doesn't feel accessible. And when you get up there, there was a pile of coins. The developers knew you could get there. They knew people would get there, and they left you a little reward as incentive to reward you, right? For exploring, for trying something like this. And that utterly blew my mind when I saw that video. I remember my mind being utterly complete, like one of those moments where you watch a video and you're like it connected with me. I was like, I didn't even know you could do that. And so of course I immediately had to fire the game back up and start messing around and jumping everywhere that I could. And then from there, everybody started doing, speed runs of SMO, and those got popular. And I started even speed running SMO a little bit back then. And man, it's just one of those special games that I don't know if I'm ever going to see something like that again. I really hope that Nintendo can pull this off again. It's their best game of all time, easily. And I don't even think, easily. There's no competition. It's the best 3D Mario we've ever had. I don't care that some of the moons aren't good. I don't care. That's fine. If that's what it takes to get the greatest 3D Mario experience of all time, then by God, put 1,000,000 more useless moons in. I don't care. But anyway, those are my top 10 most played Switch games of all time. I'm looking forward to the Switch 2, baby. And I'll be back in probably 3 days with another video. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you then. Goodbye.